recreation acts as an asset to them if they need something. The Y would retain that, but they wouldn't step in and take over travel leagues or those kind of things that are already, just a second, that those kind of things. But this is an outline of what something might look like and a cost. But there's not meat on the bones to see what it would, if it says there would be a summer camps, where would those be and how would that, if it said there was going to be after school care, where would that be and how would that, those kind of things. Tonight's decision for me with the council, in order to move forward, is either stop talking to the Y and go hire somebody, or this proposal has some merit. What would the details of this proposal look like on the ground? Where would these things happen? You know, how would that kind of thing work? Just so that we can move forward and that Tim can have some closure in terms of his things moving forward. As I said, this proposal has been out on the website. It went out in the packet. I emailed it to our local paper. Everybody had it. You know, it was out in time so people could see what was being proposed. As I said, Mr. Fairhurst here. I've had questions as to why after school care and those kind of things were included. Discussion with the school superintendent. He indicated that that was a need and that was would be a positive program to offer in Bucksport, which is why that's included in this as well. But as I said, it's a framework. It's not what time or what location or what. It's what a contract might look like to have the same kind of services you have now, plus a few more.
How long the contract?
2 years. And the reason it's 2 years is because 1 year is not enough time to assess anything. I haven't forgotten you, Scott,
okay.
Honestly. Generally, they go back and forth and we do this.
What I have to say has some merit to the whole.
We'll get to that when open it up for discussions.
Okay, that.
All right, let's go around. Have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I think this whole proposal and the discussion goes hand in hand with our direction on so many fronts in the town right now. We've got a vision for the future, got a lot of great work going on by some tremendous volunteers and groups, and I think taking a great history of a rec program in this town and taking it to the next level with the Y brand is the way to go. The dollars, as you said, the dollars are not significant, and when you really narrow them down, they may come even closer than what you said. I don't think you can beat the Y brand when we're trying to sell the town of Bucksport to people outside the community. The Y brand is second to none for this type of activity. And it's not just limited to exercise, as you see. It's so many other things. And the thing that struck me is the after-school stuff. The people that don't have a place for their kids to go after school, there's some options here that really will help. And whatever matriculates out of the summer camp can only be a positive. I think the security, the confidence, the credentials that the Y brings when it hires people, when it brings coaches, mentors, they have a history of how to do that. So we can feel that anything we do, not that we don't now, but it adds another level of that to the people that are involved with these programs with our kids, a level of confidence that the people that are coaching and helping and working have all the background checks and all the things that go along with that. There are a lot of soft costs that we may find that without having to administer programs, that we're not even counting in the cost, probably the cost, comparison. What are the soft costs with having to administer and do things on our own? And I just think, again, to sum up, that it goes hand in hand with looking to the future, and selling Bucksport is a place where people want to move. We already have great facilities, and this would just be an add plus to it. So I am 100% behind it. I've heard from a number of people in town as well that are behind it, so I just think it's a thing we should do.
Paul?
I think it adds a lot to the youth, gives them more things to do, things that we don't offer. Access to the facilities, I think, is a plus. I personally believe there's a couple programs I'd like to see them not take over. Really just one program that's ran in between some sidelines, but I think that's ran pretty well here in town by a lot of volunteers, really. But if it is, it is. But I just, that's just me personally. I think it adds great things for the youth to do. Would have loved to have had it back when my kids were that age.
Peter?
Peter, on the pool coverage number, does that include lifeguards, and that's basically running the whole pool? Is that what that 27 number is?
Yeah.
If we don't do that, who runs the pool?
If we don't do that, we'd have to hire lifeguards and hire people to do that on our own.
So that's an added cost that would be on top of the town with
We currently
and
budget...
not having the Y oversee it. It would have to be a town employee that would have to oversee it.
That's right, we'd have to oversee it. But
Okay.
right now, we budget 17.8, I think, for wages for the pool. But the current director has to oversee that, and he also does the water testing and all that kind of chemical thing that goes along with it that is part of the pool.
And I don't want to get too far in the
operation.
weeds, and I saw that you had an early start as can be discussed if needed. We're talking about this starting on the fiscal year of 2017, which would be July 1st, but the pool obviously opens before that, so that's something that we could talk about, obviously, and prorate a cost or something. Thanks.
Okay, again, I'm not opposed to it. I am a person that likes local control. But also, I'm a physical conservative, so if it's, we get more programs with basically the same cost or less cost for it. Well, I have a couple of questions in the spreadsheet you gave us. The revenues, the revenues going to come back to the town, or are they
No.
going to go to the Y?
The revenues go to the Y, and that they go to the Y for the operation of programs in Bucksport. But they go, the Y administers those. As a contract, they collect, they have the fees, but those fees are used locally. The assessment that I did netted those out so that you were comparing out-of-pocket costs. I took the fees out of the cost of, if we kept it and did it ourselves, I subtracted the fees so you could see what the net cost is minus fees compared to the Y cost, which includes fees as well. So, under the Y proposal, the fees go to the Y, but those fees are used for program operation. Because the Y proposal includes staffing but not program costs, the fees associated that go with it are what pay for the program cost to go with it.
Okay, I know now the revenues, anything left over goes into a reserve account, and we get quite a bit of money in that account. What happens to that reserve account? Does that stay with the town?
The reserve account is yours. The reserve account's not part of this proposal. The reserve account is for your facilities. That reserve account isn't part of this proposal or part of being turned over to anything.
And the diversion program
That stays in operation,
through,
not through the Y.
okay, so does that,
That's not part of this either. The diversion program half-time stays, and there's the ability for the town, either through the Y or through the school to contract the other part of that person's work. There's no loss of employment here for the person who's
And there's-
here.
And there's no additional cost to us to do
No.
that. Okay. The only other thing is that, I would like to see more details, like you say,
When things,
the
where
bolts and
things.
nuts of the proposal, and I'd like to have the rec committee involved with that discussion if possible. Or at least be in the room when that discussion takes place. So that, we all kind of have a feel for where this is going.
I would just ask that we do that sooner than later, so we can,
Yes.
drag out.
We got one other comment.
But I don't want us to jump tonight necessarily until we actually see the final workings of it, unless the rest of you feel that way. But
I'm just looking
I
for
agree with
continued
that.
direction.
Right.
What, do we keep talking, or do we say, because we have to do one or the other, or else I'm not going to have.
I'm going to let all the councilors speak. Go ahead, Paul.
My opinion right now is heavily in favor of we keep talking. As Robbie mentioned, the two key things I walked into the room tonight were the branding and the credentials that go along with the Y. In the Ellsworth American that came out yesterday, I get mailed to the house today. I encourage you to pick up a copy, not to move the sales of the Ellsworth American along, but there's all the programs in here, adult aquatics, Red Cross, youth swim lessons. It's just, it's a 8-page document that goes into the detail of what they provide. I mean, I was in favor of it, and that just pegged the needle even further that we continue talking, and I'm pro going forward with this.
Joe?
Well, I'm actually on the rec committee, and I learned a couple things about some of the way the programs are run and stuff, and there was some concern with some of them, so it would be kind of neat for me to see like a neutral side of it, and just so that, and but my kid, we actually homeschool our children, and for them to be able to have those opportunities would be tremendous. And again, I would also like to hear maybe from Tim Emery and see what his thoughts are on it, what he has for ideas as well. But yeah, my concern would, like you said, I understand with the trying to keep everything local, because I mean we have great volunteers that want to still. And I don't know how that goes in. Or maybe even the lifeguards that you have, will they be able to have an opportunity to maybe still maintain that position in Bucksport? So that would be that, and I definitely am excited to hear what Scott Fernald has to say as well. So
Is that the question that Peter could answer right now in terms of how, they're going to hire the people, but would consideration be to people that are in
yeah, as far as coaches and whatnot, that maybe. Yeah.
oh, okay.
The sports are under the control of
Okay. All
boards.
right, so that
So
clarifies
the-
what
already,
you're
why would the employee that the Y had would attend meetings of those boards to see if, for field scheduling and those kind of things, they can provide that, but they're specifically not in this proposal because the Y didn't want to be seen as coming in and taking over the programs that are
Youth sports.
youth sports that are.
Yeah, that was my, I guess my concern.
But they would act as the same resource that recreation does now in terms of fields and, gyms and that kind of
More
stuff.
the facility
Yeah.
than.
It sounds like this is going to be kind of unique to what the Y normally does, that the rec committee in Bucksport will have not necessarily tell the Y what they want to do, but they'll be a part of what's going on.
Direction, yeah.
Okay.
It's all about the direction that the community wants to go.
Right, right.
And the community knows better than people that live
Uh,
here. And we work together and get it done.
Another thing, though, I think people get the impression, oh, Y's coming, there'll be an indoor swimming pool and handball courts and, hockey rink, enclosed hockey rink and all that. Well,
No, but I think we shouldn't, that's not gonna be the immediate goal, but if I had a vision for Bucksport 20 years down the road, there would be. We'd be big enough, there'd be enough people moving into town, and that should be our dream. That should be,
Right, yeah.
You never know what relocates down the river.
Yeah, win the lottery and you'll be all
Well,
set.
when you're gonna leave the money to us.
Yeah, from being the mayor, right? Yeah, big money. Mr. Fernald?
Good evening, Council. Scott Fernald, Millville Road, Bucksport. This is coming from a point of view from a guy that's actually been in the trench with Tim Emery and Roger Raymond, repairing pool piping that had frozen underground. Is that something still the town is going to maintain under Tim's guidance? Because if it's not, that's a cost to the town. It would have to be dug up, and we're talking 8 feet underground. It's a huge expense if it's not maintained correctly. Now, coming from a guy that has, had vehicles that were company-owned, I know that that vehicle isn't driven the same as the owner would drive it. So that's a concern, The other one, as a volunteer football coach, there's a lot of people that volunteer for coaching football, and
They're not taking sports over, that's what.
they're not.
already said.
That's a
Already
huge,
said.
huge thing, because they're great, great, great people. They really are wonderful. They love the kids. They break their backs to do stuff for these kids, and I'd hate to see that go to waste. But the other thing that Tim does is he schedules water meters to be removed, put back in for the ball fields, buildings to be drained and winterized. So is that still stuff controlled by the town?
I think the facilities,
you know,
costs
that-
and maintenance
RSU
are
does all that now.
all
Okay.
still Bucksport.
Yeah. So those were questions I had with that whole
Remove that,
thing.
That's been
and-
moved, and maintenance of the waterfront has been moved to different departments.
Great. Okay. So that now I'm assuming Tim's educated people on how that stuff's taken care of. I mean, like there's a hole in the ground in one of the fields that's got to be pumped out of the water to get the meter in there every year. So cool. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the public on this? I guess, do
Davey,
you
can I
have
just-
anything else you'd like to say, sir?
I was here, to answer any questions, but I think we are at a point that there could be some great opportunity for Bucksport, for anybody. And we're very excited to continue the discussion and work out the details.
Okay, go ahead.
With the after-school programs and whatnot, would you be working with the RSU for like transportation with the kids and whatnot? All right, super.
I guess
You
what
and I
I'd,
have worked on a number of things.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we have the town manager to continue pursuing this and coming back with the actual inner workings of the whole contract, and then act on it.
Second.
We have a second to that?
Before we vote, I just want to say, I think it needs to be said, everybody in this town values and loves Tim and the work that he's done and the history that he's built and the programs. And I think, whether or not we move forward with this program, it's not any indication of what Tim's done or hasn't done. It's been incredible up to this point, and whatever we decide to do, it's only moving the ball forward. So I don't think anybody should feel that this is any kind of a
If he wasn't retired, I'm not sure we'd be having this.
Right.
Well,
conversation.
the issue is that I cannot hire someone with 40 years of recreational experience in the town of Bucksport. And so, unless you hire or engage an entity who specializes in recreation and has the institutional knowledge and the backup to do that, we are not going to be able to stay where we are, because someone coming in new without a lot of things would be very, very difficult to do that. So if anything, to honor the work that Tim's done over time to get things to a certain point, even though things might look slightly different, if you're not losing or going backwards, you're going ahead, especially when you lose somewhere that much institutional knowledge. The goal here is to not go behind, is to not, for Bucksport residents, not to see a loss in service because we lost a very valuable employee who has more knowledge in his head about how things have run here over time than,
Well,
so.
I think that the town's very grateful for having Tim for 40 years.
Absolutely.
I can remember when he first came here, boy, there was some rough sledding for him. New guy out of Bangor, we'd never had a rec director before, and, he took his lumps, but he stuck with the town and, built a wonderful program that, we're all proud of. And, like I said, I wish Tim was, 30 years old still, but we all get
So
older.
was he.
No, we all.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to,
I just want to add one more thing. Is there a way that the townspeople will have a way to have some input on this as well?
It'll be on the agenda for discussion.
For discussion,
Anybody
okay.
will.
Yeah.
Super, yeah.
plus our rec committee will be involved with it also.
Fantastic, all right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have the town manager to continue discussions with the Y to lay out all the inner workings of this potential contract. Anything further from the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item D, request from the code enforcement officer, authorize court actions regarding property on map 10, lot 55 on the Bucks Mills Road. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff Hammond, Code Officer. I'm here tonight to speak to you about an illegally occupied mobile home that I've been dealing with for the past 5 months. It's located on Bucks Mills Road. If any of you know where Garrett McCallion lives, this mobile home is next to his, but you can't see it from the road. It's occupied by Tony Gross and Holly Ellis. I'm not sure if they're here this evening. I don't see them here. Thought they might be, but Holly came in on September 26th and filed an application to install this mobile home, and along with that she gave me a copy of her septic design. She indicated that she would be able to pay the fee for the building permit to install the mobile home, but not yet for the septic system. She said she'd be able to take care of that in the following spring. So I went ahead and issued the permit on September 30th, just noting that the septic system permit would be issued at a later date. 6 days later, I got a call from Holly, who asked if it would be okay if they moved into the mobile home before they had the septic system installed, before they had a well drilled, and before they had plumbing hooked up and permanent power. And I indicated to her that that couldn't be allowed, and I followed that up with a letter stating that in writing on October 12th. A month later, on November 15th, I conducted a site visit to see what was going on there, and I met Tony Gross, who came out of the trailer, and we had a conversation, and he indicated to me that they, in fact, were living there. I indicated to him that they hadn't received approval yet to live there. I also noted that there was a small shed just off to the side of the lot with a 5-gallon bucket sitting in it, and he indicated to me that's his bathroom. The following day, on November 16th, I issued the violation notice. You all have copies of this information. I'm just going through it time-wise. The order was to vacate the mobile home until all the requirements were met. As of this date, they are still living there. After they received the notice of violation, I received a call from Holly, who told me that they had installed a porta potty, and they would seek financing to arrange for the septic system installation and the well installation and the power hookup. I waited for her, I asked her to give me an update when she did get that financing. I waited until January 9th. I hadn't heard a word, so I sent a letter to them asking for an update. Holly called on January 17th to tell me that they could not obtain financing. We talked a bit about that. I asked her if she could provide me with a written plan explaining how they intend to deal with these issues that need to be taken care of before their occupancy could be approved. She told me she'd get it to me at the end of that week. I've still not received it, so on February 6th, I sent a letter again to them, letting them know that I hadn't received the written plan that I requested, and that I intended to bring this matter to the council for authorization to take this matter to court. And that's why I'm here tonight. This mobile home is being occupied without a septic system, without proper plumbing, without permanent power, and without a permanent water supply. And that's simply just not allowed by our town code and state law.
I'll make a motion to allow the code enforcement officer to go forward.
Second.
We have motion and second to instruct the code enforcement officer to take court action. Anything from the public on this issue? Anything further from the council?
Have you done one, will you be able to do one more site visit before the going to court? Just to, 'cause I know we talked about this last time, sometimes people just oversee letters and don't do anything about them. I just was wondering to make sure that you had a last site visit prior to.
Well, they are aware of my appearance here tonight. The town office received a
And no,
call
they did
from
not
them
show
today and indicating they wanted to know how to get here. So I know they received my letter,
Okay.
but they haven't contacted me at all about this matter.
Okay, yeah, fantastic.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Item 8 is agenda items. Item A being to adopt, resolve R 2017-47 to adopt the budget workshop schedule for the 2017-2018 general fund, sewer, marina, and capital funds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and a second to approve the resolve. Anything further from the public? From the council?
I just want to make a note that there are some time changes that,
I incorporated that on the nights that is not a council meeting night, the budget meetings will start at 6.
6 o'clock, great.
And on council meetings, it's the regular nights, but the non-council meeting nights, they start at 6 o'clock.
And those will be open to the public as well?
Oh, of course.
we hope so. We hope they show up.
Fantastic.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item B, to adopt resolve R 2017-48 to approve payment requisition number 18 for the sewer treatment plant project in the amount of $17,567.50. And we've got a couple invoices here, don't we?
Yeah, one for Oliver and one for Apex, for
Okay.
a total of $405,817.
Let's just go with that then.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the resolve. Anything further from the public? Council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item C, to adopt resolve R 2017-49 to approve the write-off of uncollectible ambulance billing charges from 2013 through 2015 in the amount of $35,806.69. Susan?
Annually, you go back the 2 oldest years prior to the current year, and the amount breakdowns, the total is $35,806.69. Of that amount, $4,642.19 are related to accounts where the person is no longer alive, and the remainder are old and uncollectible beyond that, and unable to be. They have been into the collection process, and this is what's left after that.
Do we take all that out of the collection process? I mean, I know they might be deceased, but they, Or do we just, does it just sit there? We just,
We actually have a
What's the
budget line
question?
where this is,
What's that?
isn't this part of the budget actually we put in there for uncollectibles?
I mean, does it still go after the average?
The,
does it come out of the
I
collection?
mean, we know this is coming every year.
yes,
Yeah.
you know that this is
Yeah.
an expense, but when you consider that your annual revenue for ambulance is close to $400,000 a year, and you have 2 years here, and the total that you're going to write up is $35,000. You're
Okay.
doing very
We're still making
well.
money.
A lot of fire departments use third-party companies to do this thing, and they're
Cost them
lucky if
money,
they get
yeah.
into the 10 to 15% range. This is just an incredibly low amount of money. So I just say kudos to the fire department, town manager, and her staff upstairs doing this job. It's unheard of low amount they did not collect.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolve. Anything further from the public? From the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're going on to item 9, resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. We don't have anything. Item 10, approval of quick claim deeds and discharges. First one being real estate quick claim deed for Jane Cirillo, map 24, lot 9.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the quick claim deed. Any further from the council?
I just got, why does the council have to do this part? Maybe you guys answered that once already, I just was wondering.
Approve quick claims because
Yeah.
you're the elected officials of the community. You're the only ones with the authority to give people back their property once it's been in the hands of the town
Okay,
through ownership.
all right, perfect.
Okay, anything further from the public? All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes. Next one being real estate, quick claims for Althea Coe, map 25, lot 16-2.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the quick claim deed. Anything further from the public? From the council? All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes. Item C, real estate quick claim deed for Ralph and Katrina Norwood, map 17, lot 19.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the quick claim deed. Anything further from the public? Council? All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes. Last one being real estate quick claims for heirs of Donald E. Winter, map 20, lot 18.
Motion approved?
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the quick claim deed. Anything further from the public? Council? All those in favor? Motion passes. Item 11, town manager's report.
I'm happy to report that Keith French paid the 2014 and 2015 real estate taxes to redeem the property on Route 46 from foreclosure as agreed with the council on January 12th. They received those funds today. He is aware that the 2016 taxes must be paid by December in order to avoid this happening again. December, so we won't be back here. I'm pleased to report that we got the 2017-18 Hancock County tax bill, and it is a little over $96,000 less than it was last year, because the county now recognizes the town's reduced valuation as well. So county tax is based on your share of county valuation. Ours is lower, so our county tax has gone down $96,000, which is good news. I'm in the process of reviewing the budgets that have been submitted by the department heads, and I'm pleased with the thought and care that they have put into providing these very reasonable requests. Budget preparation is consuming a good deal of my time at the moment and will continue to do so until I deliver that budget to you on the 13th of March. The organizational meeting for the EPA grant for site redevelopment at the AIM property will be held next week, and the actual grant will begin the 1st of April. As noted earlier, the Elm Street mobile home at 82 Elm Street has been removed and the lot cleaned up. I will have tax and sewer abatements for signature at the next meeting for that resulted from that. I met with a senior resource group on February 22nd. They had questions about how programs related to seniors and the senior center and senior center director would be handled as the recreation department moves forward in whatever iteration it does. I explained that the budget for the senior center with staff and programming would be handled separately no matter what recreation option was selected by the council. So that's a separate item. A big thank you to the Public Works Department for the above and beyond efforts during the huge snow events of the past several weeks. Despite multiple equipment issues, particularly with regard to sidewalk plows, the crews did a good job. And finally, I attended a legislative policy committee meeting at the Maine Municipal Association today in Augusta. We discussed numerous bills that are in consideration at the legislature this year that have an impact on municipal interests, from everything from tax exemptions to proposed changes in shoreline zoning and subdivision regulations. There's lots of proposed bills that have potential municipal impact, and very little of it is good. So
Okay,
that's it.
Thank you. Item B is financial reports for 1/31/2017.
Yes, you have in your packet the revenue and expense statements for the budget through the end of January. We're online and doing well. We upped our excise estimate in this year's budget, and we're still running ahead of that. So things are looking good.
Any questions on either of those issues? Okay, let's go on to item 12. Set public hearings or hold public hearings and approval of any licenses or permits. We do have to approve a poll permit for Northern New England Telephone Operations, LLC, on the Church Road in Bucksport.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the poll permit. Anything from the council on this? All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes. We do have a couple of licenses here. First one be a miscellaneous license. Paula Key, doing business as Wednesdays on Main. How would the council like to proceed?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the miscellaneous license for Paula Key for Wednesdays on Main. Anything further from the public? From the council? All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes. Okay, we do need to hold a public hearing on, I think it's a full-time liquor license for Jeff Ledbetter, doing business as Harborview Grill. I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Any comments from the public?
They are, I didn't realize they were open. I thought they were closed. They're planning on reopening in the spring.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's the one.
Maybe the 1st of April?
The 1st of April is what I was told.
Okay, anything further from the council? Declare the public hearing closed. How would the council like to proceed?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the full-time liquor license for Jeff Ledbetter, doing business at Harborview Grill. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Discussion items not on the agenda for the public or the council. We'll start with the public. Any discussion items from the public? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to come in and say thank you for giving me the chance to pay my taxes. I really appreciate it. You didn't have to, and you did it, so I appreciate it. And then I'll have them finished this summer.
Hopefully we won't
That's
see
all
you
I had
next
to
year.
say. Huh?
Hopefully we won't see you next year, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion items from the public? Yes, sir.
Evening again, Scott Fernald, Millville Road, Bucksport. Haven't seen the road committee, Streets and Roads Committee meeting come up anywhere, and I was wondering if maybe I missed it.
You didn't.
I didn't miss it. Okay. Just wanted to reiterate they're looking bad out there this year. So I'm not sure. I saw our road director there. He put some sand on once, And there were a few cold days that could have used it again, and not knowing if he didn't have the sand to do it, but when the weather's that cold, that salt and calcium just doesn't do the trick. And it's awful dangerous. We really should get some sand on the roads when it needs it. Maybe not right here in town, but out back it would be kind of nice. It's sketchy out there, and people fly down those roads out there, and I'd hate to see somebody have a fatality due to no traction. Thank you.
Bucks Mills and
Milldale.
Milldale.
Yeah, Silver Lake.
Scott, before you go, I can tell you, I monitor the scanner quite a bit for police and fire, and it's usually police that are coming in on the radio, and they do announce that, to the north or out back is looking sketchy right now, and they do get a hold of highway, and he does come out and do it. So they, I'm just telling you what's going on the scanner.
Yeah. Well, and I do know, Paul, thank you for that input, that they're limited on mileage on those cruises. So they're not out. They're limited on mileage per night.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see them out.
I would
think one patrol an hour, maybe every other hour. But when you see them once, maybe twice a night.
Well, that would be.
Are we talking the police or the?
No, the police.
Well, that would be an easy
Yeah.
one to find out whether or not.
Yeah. No. The road crews, don't get me wrong. The road crews do a great job. They're out there all the time.
Are we talking the last couple of storms, or the last two storms? I can tell you this, that on Monday, I took my cruisers off the road.
Was that the big storm? Or?
Yeah, I thought they did a great job.
Oh, yeah.
I live in Outback.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job. I was able to get I was working during the middle of it. I could come home and I got to work.
My point was, Paul, it was that how is a police officer that's only out occasionally in northeast Bucksport going to know what the road's like out there?
I mean,
And that's where the salt sand really needs to be.
but
That's
does anyone
the
call?
curvy, crowned roads. Really, there's 2-3 inches of drop on the edge of the roads. The roads are hammered from. I mean, anybody that's worked with concrete knows when you're bringing the milk to the surface, you're hammering it with a 2x4 or a other tool, whatever, finishing tool. You're bringing that milk to the surface so you can finish it. Well, as that calcium and salt gets down under the road surface and a car is driving over that road surface, the process is no different than bringing the milk to the surface. Now, we got a milky film underneath our road surface. Is that going to support a load? No. That explains why the cracks are in the asphalt as bad as they are. And I cannot see any other reason why they are as bad as they are. They are tore up. And I don't remember ever seeing our roads only go a year. They go 5-6 years. Yeah, they get a little rough after the 5th or 6th year, but after 2, they shouldn't be all busted up. Something's causing that. We need to look into it.
Can we, Sue, can we convene, I mean, we've been hearing this, and it's certainly an important thing to look at. Can we convene some people, have we convened some people to look at the Outback versus the in-town? How
We
we're
can,
doing things?
and DOT Local Road Center, who's sort of how this salt priority and all that was developed, are happy to come and talk to you about what it does and doesn't do from the state's perspective and how that operates for some input into this. There was a discussion last time that we're looking into, and not for right this minute because our budget this year includes brine made from calcium, which is the issue, which is the problem, or a concern. The salt is what it does, but there's brine that can be made with other material that's not as caustic, whatever you want to use for a thing in terms of vehicles, or it's a little more expensive. but it can be made in-house, but it's not something we can do in the middle of
No, no, I
this
understand
winter.
that. Yeah,
But
I
that
just
was
think
talked
for
about at the
future.
last, and Jay is looking into what that would cost for the town to utilize as a medium, as opposed to the brine made with the calcium, which is
I mean, clearly, there's two different sets of roads. They're different, the roads out back are different than the ones in town. and-
Well, yeah, and I mean, just take a ride down the town farm road. That was only taken care of, what, 2 years ago? And it's trash. Just take a ride.
That road's bad.
Route 46 along Long
Thank you.
Pond, there was about 4 inches of ice on the edge of the road. They come out and put signs down and didn't clear out the ice, and so you had to try to get by the signs as traffic's coming towards you. And they had a guardrail there to get with, so you're trying to squeeze through. Have to stop and wait for cars to go by.
Any other discussion items from the public?
What do I do about, coming from, Orrington? Microphone. When I cross the Orrington line, coming down through on the East Bucksport Road, down onto the, what we call the Bucks Mills Road out there now. When I crossed that line, I was doing about 30 or 35 miles an hour, and that's tied right up for me driving. When I got to that, where it crowns down and heads toward Pearl Mill Stream, there's a place there, there's a pressure ridge just like that. It broke 3 or 4 belts in my tire. When it did, it threw my car off to the side, almost threw me out into the woods. Now I've got 2 or 3 lights on my car that say track off, low tire, and the tire that I put on there is not low. I checked the pressure in them. But I rode all the way home with that tire with a bulge on it about that big around and about that high. And these roads are in rough shape. He doesn't even begin to tell you. From the time you hit Bucksport, coming down that road, it's 20, 25 miles an hour, you're going to beat your car to pieces. It really needs to be done. They've already got the weight limit signs on up in South Brewer. I saw one right on the Elma Street there. Probably ought to have somebody out there tacking some up for us down here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Any other discussion items from the public? Discussion items from the council? Yes, sir.
Just that in our packet about municipal solid waste, the zero sort seems to be catching on. The 5 loads and over 23 tons went out in the month of January, and more importantly, the stuff that goes into the pit where we were doing 8 trips, it's now down to 4. That's pretty substantial effort by the townspeople to zero sort. It's in our financial benefit, but it's pretty impressive numbers, I'd say, so far.
Thank you. Any other discussion items? If not, we'll go on to item 14, which is upcoming public hearings, designation of topic for committee assignments, and scheduling of committee meetings. We have a referral to the Appointments Committee for 2017 appointments. Who's the chairman of that?
Mr. Carmichael.
I think I am.
Who's on it?
Joe and David Key.
We got Robbie, David Key, and Joe.
You could do it at 6:45 before the next meeting.
very long.
Right.
Is there a lot of vacancies that need to be filled?
There's a list in your.
I think
There's a
it's
list in your
just
packet.
approving those folks that are on the list, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do that here, or do we have to wait till the next?
You want to do that before the next council meeting?
Is there, will be able to tell if there's anybody that needs to be contacted to see if they still want to be?
Just 6:45, the next council meeting.
Kathy, do you normally do that?
Pretty much everyone on the list you can approve. I don't see
Okay.
any reason not to.
Do we normally call them to see if they want to be on it, though?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I know Steve wants to continue on the committee.
So you're going to do that at 6:30?
6:45.
6:45, okay. All right, there's no other committee meetings, right? You don't have anything for ordinance?
No, I think we're waiting. We got budget coming up, and Susan will work on that other one, so we'll have it in a month or so. We're not in a hurry to get that
We
one
don't have any
done.
budgets next week, right?
First budget is the 16th.
Okay, I'll be back. The only other, I will be vacant next week, but I'll be back Thursday.
The 9th is a regular meeting. The first budget meeting overview is the 16th.
16. Perfect.
Okay, item 15 is adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor? Opposed, motion passes.